Hi, I'm Camilla.
And I'm Kang, and we are
the FI Resellers, and we have a what sold video for you. First, we're going to ship together our best sales from the past week. Then we're going to share some duds that, didn't sell for a whole lot, but, still made us a little bit of money, and I mean a little bit. And then we're going to share our numbers from the past week, what we made on all the different platforms. And then we're going to share what we do with that money. We invest it, so we'll give you an update on our investments. And then we'll share a community BOLO. So that is definitely our favorite part of the video, where we share a sale from another reseller that has made a great sale and want to share some information with you about it.
This one's pretty interesting because it's new old stock. It's Ralph Lauren. It's from 1993, so it's definitely vintage. There are 2 pillowcases and it sold for $40 plus shipping. So the buyer was in $49.65. So pretty interesting. They are going to go just pretty much like this into a padded flat rate. There it is. It ain't much, but we got it for a few dollars, turned it into 40 plus shipping. You can't really beat that.
Okay, so our next sale is one that is going out to Galama, who is one of our greatest friends here on YouTube. She bought this bundle on Poshmark. It was a total of $63, and she got this Ralph Lauren button-up and a Christian Dior tie, and then a Ralph Lauren. This is like a duster length sweater, and it has a belt, and it's so beautiful. It's wool and Angora, such a beautiful piece. So we've had all of these items for a while. They were definitely long tail, but this weekend we put our entire Poshmark on 25% off on Closet Clear Out Day, and so Galama was able to take advantage of that, plus our bundle discount. So all in all, I think a really good deal, and we are so excited to ship these out to her. So for all of our items that are too large to fit in our little bread bags, we pack them with some craft paper and we just tape them up. And then here we're using a large mailing box since that will be what will fit it. And yeah, we'll get this taped up. So we always reweigh our bundles just to make sure that they are under 5 pounds, especially with larger bundles. They can go over that 5 pound limit on Poshmark, and then you have to buy extra postage. Most of our bundles, we don't end up having to do that, but we just want to, double check and make sure just in case there's something really heavy. But I think we've only had to do that maybe 1 or 2 times in all of our bundles on Poshmark. Okay, so our next sale was this Kate Spade coat. And this is such a beautiful coat. I love it so much. It is so classically preppy. Totally reminds me of something that like Kate Middleton would wear. I just love it so much. We listed this just the other day. We listed it originally at $100, and when I cross-listed it to Poshmark today, someone offered me $80, which I was happy to accept. It is currently on their website for, I think, $169, so it's not that expensive originally. And then it has one little pull on it, so I was happy to take an offer. And honestly, I just am happy to get this sold to someone because I can't wait to see someone wear this. Usually we put smaller items into, you know, a little plastic bag to keep it waterproof, but with larger items that don't fit in those bags, we wrap it in some craft paper just to keep it nice and clean as it's shipped. Okay, so there you go.
Oh, look at that perfect fit.
Nice. So this turned out to be a perfect fit for the large flat rate box. So that is what we're going to ship it out in, thanks to Poshmark's easy shipping process where you can use any priority mail, you know, box, which is nice. So our next sale was this pair of Tory Birch Wedges, and these sold for $46.75 on eBay. They would have sold for more if they were in better condition, but they are just in kind of fair condition. We did a repair on them, and so I just closed that in the listing. You can kind of see it here. But we are excited to get these off to their new home. Tory Birch shoes we've had pretty good luck with. Even when they're damaged, we pick them up from the bin, so super cheap. We aren't paying a lot of money for them. I think that Tory Birch items that have the logo, this is what the regular logo looks like, but the ones that have like the logo that you can see when people are wearing, those tend to do better, I think, because if you're buying Tory Birch, like you're buying a really nice designer thing, you kind of want to show off that you have Tory Birch stuff, you know, like you want people to know that you're rich enough to have Tory Birch stuff. That's kind of my theory on it, and it seems like in our experience with reselling that the stuff with the logo on the top or on the toe or whatever do better than just like the plain stuff.
We sold these linen pants by Bryn Walker. Now, apparently this is a bit of a BOLO brand. At least it sells well. The comps were good, and this one is a good material. It's linen, so you definitely want to be on the lookout for linen when it comes to the summer seasons. It's partially why it's sold now. Linen is great for the summer.
Yeah, we had never found this brand, and we were watching, right before we went to the bins this time, we were watching a, I think it was McThriftsy's haul, and she had mentioned picking up Bryn Walker. And then when we went to the bins, we found it, and we were really excited to find this. These are like a jogger style. I think that the wide leg, especially the really wide leg, do better.
It's even got cargo pants.
Yeah, it's got pockets, and it's got...
Or pockets. Yeah, cargo pockets. That's what I meant.
And it's got the elastic at the ankle, but we accepted a little bit of a lower offer on this because we were trying to make our goal for the week and finish the week strong. So we decided to take an offer on this, so it sold for a total of $44.65, and I originally priced it at $50, but decided to take this offer so that we could, you know, make $1,000 this week.
Yeah, I bet you could get 50 plus shipping on this if you waited long enough, but we're happy with that.
Yeah.
Is this first class?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we ended up doing is buying ship cover insurance because this is going first class. It's only 12 ounces on eBay. And so ship cover insurance is $1.70, but the buyer paid like $9 total because of kind of the distance and whatever it is that eBay calculates. We did eBay calculated shipping. And so all of that together, we actually are doing pretty okay even with the ship cover insurance. So all things considered, it's worth it when you have an item that is priced over $30 in our case. If it's going first class mail, it's not already insured. Priority mail is. And so that's something to think about for your business. We like to do this with $30+ items. Anything less than that, we are taking a chance on, you know, first class items. So that's how we like to do it. We sold this really nice plaid shirt, pearl snaps. It's very Western, very cool, by Sid Mashburn. The buyer was in $40.85, so a really good sale because we had gotten this one from the bins, and actually it had a few at the bins. We picked up 2 that day, and apparently this is a pretty good brand. You should be on the lookout for this. We have seen some really good comps. We're really happy to take $40 for this and make a quick sale.
Now it's time for 2 duds that we, you know, made a little bit of money, but we probably won't pick up again. The first one is this Spanx skirt. We sold it for $10 on Poshmark.
So we've had that for a while. Spanx, like leggings and things like that, can do well, but this skirt, it wasn't clear to me like what the Spanx part of it is. Like Spanx is known for its shapewear, and I couldn't really tell, like I guess there was like shapewear underneath the skirt, but it didn't really make sense to me like why, like how it worked and why you would need it, because then the skirt over it was like flowy a little bit. So I don't know, I just didn't really get it. So I think that's why it didn't have like a broad audience. Not a lot of people are thinking, wow, I really want a pencil skirt that has like shapewear underneath. They're usually thinking, I want shapewear that I can wear with whatever, you know, and put it under any of my outfits. So
that would make sense to me. So
yeah. Oh well.
Oh,
$10, you know, pretty good, better than $0 and taking a loss. So
I mean, we profited almost $6, so it's not terrible. Next, we sold this Adidas hat. It had the cool little trefoil logo. They sold for $9 on Poshmark, but it also sold in 5 days, so it's kind of like.
So definitely, this could have sold better, but it did have yellowing on the back of the belt, like right where it hits your forehead, you know, from sweat. So that's kind of gross. So I marked it pretty low, and I marked it kind of a little bit lower than comps, which comps were around $15, which would have been pretty good for a hat, like especially if it could sell quickly. But since this had a little bit of yellowing there, I marked it down and then I accepted a lower offer.
Yeah, we didn't really feel like washing it ourselves at this point, and it was a pretty quick flip, so we're okay with it. Otherwise, we often pick up Adidas stuff. We often pick up hats. If the hats are, you know, in good enough shape and they have good comps, we'll pick them up because they're so light, and we often get it at the bins. So it makes sense to us. But for $3 profit,
Yeah.
it's not worth the trouble. And
Yeah,
it's
you
not
can't
worth...
even get 2 McDonald's Diet Cokes for that anymore. So
yeah, they're no longer $1 here in Houston.
yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah, terrible. So the other thing I did this week was on Thursday at the end of the week, I took in some items to some buy-sell trade stores. I went to Pavement in Houston and Buffalo Exchange. And I have discovered that I really like selling to Pavement because, one, they open at 10 a.m. So I can go there and then go to Buffalo Exchange right after, and they open at 11. So it's like perfect timing to do both. And at Pavement, they pay, I think it's 40% cash. So it's either 50% trade or 40% cash. I never trade in at Pavement because honestly, I never find anything that I like. To me, shopping there is like, it's so overwhelming. They have so much stuff. I can't do it. So what I do is I bring in my stuff and I sit on their little couch and I just wait for them to buy my stuff. Like, I don't even try to shop. I know that I should, but it's just too much. I love them because they buy a lot of my vintage items, and this time they bought 10 items, and a lot of them were things that I had brought to a different vintage store and they hadn't bought, and things that I had in my death pile of things that I hadn't listed yet. And I have a huge vintage death pile that I've been trying to work through. They took 10 items and paid me $74 in total for them, which was awesome. And then I booked over to Buffalo Exchange and I got up there and they bought 25 items from me. So this was probably the most successful trip I've ever had to Buffalo Exchange. And the thing was, is I almost didn't take in all the stuff to them because it was things that I had taken to Pavement, like vintage items that I thought, oh, Buffalo Exchange won't be really interested in this. Like, they don't sell a lot of vintage. Well, they took almost all of it. Like, anything that basically didn't have shoulder pads, they took. So the only thing that they didn't take were things that had shoulder pads. And the buyer basically said to me, if you cut out the shoulder pads and bring these back, I'll take them. And 80s items. So I had a couple dresses that were like 80s style, and they didn't take those. That just goes to show you, you know, like I had some things that looked kind of 70s, some things that looked a little bit 60s, some things that were definitely 90s. They definitely took all my 90s stuff. Nice. They were taking my midi skirts, everything. I was like, this is great. She was telling me the price. I was like, I don't care what you price it at, just get it out of my house. So that was great. It was a great use of my morning. I felt so good. I'm definitely going to be bringing back even more vintage items and going to be changing my strategy a little bit about what I bring into Buffalo Exchange. I had been bringing more Zara and more men's stuff, and I'm definitely still going to do that, but more vintage items to them as well, because I don't think that they get that much of it, and it's kind of part of their ethos, you know, at Buffalo Exchange. They want to be like cool, trendy, you know, vintage, unique, and if they're only getting, you know, fast fashion stuff from people, then they can't really have that personality in their store. Anyway, just something to think about. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to make a video about what I'm taking into these buy-sell trade stores, what they're buying from me, though it does, you know, vary city to city, buyer to buyer, store to store, but sometimes it can be helpful to kind of see what other people are doing. So now it's time for our numbers. So in total, we sold 92 items last week. That includes the items that went to those buy-sell trade stores. So if you just include the items that we sold actually online, it was just 57 items. But our gross revenue from all of those items was $1,657.27. Our cost of goods for those items was $197.44. On eBay, we sold 20 items for $377.55.
Pretty low for eBay.
Yeah, pretty low for eBay. eBay was pretty slow last week, and we were kind of nervous about it. And we even ran a really big sale, and I don't think we got that many sales from it.
Right.
So
It's tough. Let us know how eBay's doing for you.
yeah, eBay has definitely been slowing down.
We heard a little bit of kind of chatter on other platforms, other people, podcasts and whatnot about eBay kind of slowing down for them. We're not sure what it is.
Yeah.
Might be summer slowdown, maybe.
On Poshmark, we sold 25 items for $338.62. So what we were trying to do on all of our different platforms was run basically sales. So on Sunday, Poshmark has, closet clear out. So I used our Posher VA bot automation to lower the price of our entire closet by, I think, 25%. So basically it triggered to all of the likers that they would get discount shipping for the next 6 hours. So we made a lot of sales from that. But as you can see, we made, 5 more sales on Poshmark. We made less money than on eBay. So it is lower profit because we were running this big sale.
Also, the fees are higher, so that's very typical.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of a combo of those two. At the buy sell trade stores, they bought 35 items from me and I profited $124.61 in total after my cost of goods. And at Buffalo Exchange, I did take the cash option this time because I sold so many items, and for them to give me a trade-in, it would have been about $200. And when we went in Austin, we had a hard time even spending the amount of trade that we had then. To have another $200 would have been kind of difficult.
Yeah.
But it is kind of hard because it's 25% cash or 50% trade. And so it's like you double your money just by doing the trade. So let me know what you do down in the comments. Do you do the trade or do you do the cash? I kind of regret doing the trade because it was so much less money, but I don't know. It's just a toss-up. So maybe next time I'll do the trade.
I think there's something to be said about kind of splitting the difference since we still do have some trade-in from previous. And if you think about it, having the cash to spend immediately on new inventory might be better than waiting and never having spent this money because we have had this credit for months. You got to think about it that way, because if you have money tied up in one specific store and you can't spend it, then it's not really worth much to you.
Exactly. Like, is $100 worth more at the bins than $200 at Buffalo Exchange? Okay, and then on Facebook, we sold 7 items for a profit of $121.61. On Mercari, we sold 5 items for $73.51. So in total, our profit from the past week was $1,035.90. So
Barely.
Yeah,
we made it though. Pretty good though.
Yeah, so we were trying really hard this week. We're getting closer and closer to our baby coming. So we're trying really hard to make a good amount of profit because we're going to kind of pause our business at that point. So we're trying to, make as many sales now while we can and, kind of stock up and hopefully have some extra money in case, medical things go wrong or things like that.
And hey, maybe by the time you watch this video, we'll already have the baby. Who knows?
It's just a waiting game at this point.
It's just a waiting game. Now it's time for our segment on building wealth. And this is where we update you on our total stock market index experiment. This is how we're doing. Almost $900 down, a little bit worse than last week, a little bit better than 2 weeks ago, which is fine. We have always said that we're in this for the long term. And one of our comments last week had us thinking about why it is we hold for the long term. A lot of people panic and sell when they see that things are going down. They want to try to cut their losses. But at this point, it's not like it's trying to cut your losses for business. It's something that you really have to believe in and believe in for a long time so that you know that it's going to bounce back, right? I would understand if you're trying to cut your losses for business, in terms of business sense, you want to try to get rid of inventory, you want to try to recoup a little bit of money back, but this is not the same. This is very different. This is only paper losses, right? Minus $900, but we don't have that money. It's all put into this brokerage account. It will continue to go up and down all the way until we decide to sell it, and then we, pull it out as money to spend. We're trying to build wealth for a long span of time. We're trying to see it compound over time, and we're trying to see how the money is making money, and we want to show you how it's doing it. You get to see in real time with us how we are reacting to it and how we're trying to think about it. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to our experience in investing, it's long-term mindset we have to know what we're investing in and why we're investing into it, because that will give us the reason and the mindset of keeping it in there when times get tough like this.
One thing that you have to know about investing is that it's not a get rich quick scheme. And anyone who tries to tell you that it is, that, you can make all this money by, trading stocks and going here and there and buying and selling and all this kind of stuff, it's essentially the same amount of risk as, gambling in Las Vegas. And, you have about the same amount of chances of getting rich there as you do, doing that in the stock market. But when you look at it long term, the money that you're putting into your investments, if you're doing like index fund investing, or even if you're choosing individual stocks for the long term, you have to realize that that is money that you can't be thinking that you're going to use it in, a certain amount of time, in a year, in, 6 months or something like that, because that's where you get that volatility. Whereas if you put it into your investment and you leave it there for a long time, and you realize when you're investing it that that's the plan, that's what you're going to do, you can have that freedom to ride those waves of volatility, to ride the ups and the downs, and to realize that it's not really affecting you because the end date isn't there yet. You aren't at the end, you aren't at the point where you need to have that money back. And so that's something that you have to keep in mind with investing, is that it has to be money that you don't need. It's not a good way to, save money. It's not a good vehicle to save money in that way. But if you have it for the long term, then you can have that emotional freedom to look at the ups and the downs and realize that, you don't have to pull it out yet. You don't have to be nervous because, again, it's not over yet.
The psychology behind money is very emotional in nature. It's kind of weird in that our possessions really make us emotional sometimes. And when you think about investments, we have $7,000 invested into this, and we've lost almost $900, on paper. To us, this is just a walk in the park, right? It's not emotional at this point. You kind of have to build your tolerance for it over a long span of time. We've been doing this for a long time. You have to trust us when we say we have felt the emotions connected to losing money, right, on paper, and the rise of the excitement and all of that when it comes to making money on paper. Building wealth has as much to do as psychology, the mindset, the emotions behind all of the money, as it does with actual money, right? Actually making money. That's just a part of it. And to tie this all in, one example from our own lives is that we have a pretty big emergency fund. We thought about it as a safety net for us so that when it comes to big expenses, we can take the emotions out of it because we know that that's why it's there. The money that we have there isn't invested. It isn't money that is going to, make us money. It's not really worth much more than just exactly the money that is in there and peace of mind. So the risk there is very little. And so you can see how, we're trying to steel ourselves when it comes to any possible emergencies that might come up, whether it's for us or for the baby. And so all of that lowers our stress level, right? Mm-hmm. There's so much stress that people endure when it comes to thinking about money. And so for us, lowering our risk by having a decent emergency fund is going to be much more valuable to us than investing in the stock markets. And so we do have a lot of different levels of how we think about risk so that we can sleep well at night.
And that emergency fund enables us to have kind of the emotional distance with our investments because, again, it goes back to we don't actually need that invested money now because we have this emergency fund that we can use in now situations. Like if expenses come up that are unexpected, that's the money that we're able to use. That's something to think about. If you don't have an emergency fund just yet, that would be a place to start before you start investing. Don't use investments as your emergency fund. Have some money set aside for, things like when you need a new roof or, your water heater breaks or you need a car repair, things like that, so that you aren't so worried about the ups and the downs of your investments because you, again, don't need that money.
So there you go. Building wealth is a really big topic. We hope that we've kind of narrowed down a few areas for you to think about, and hopefully it provides you some value. Okay, now it's time for our community BOLO, and this one comes from Humble Assets. They've been one of our followers for a really long time. We've always appreciated them, and part of their bio says financial freedom and health through resale. And that is totally our vibe, So we really appreciate them, and they are great people to follow. You should definitely follow them because they sell some really interesting things. Not only do they sell clothes, but they sent us this baseball bat that they wanted us to share. They got this Easton Z-Core bat for about $3. This one is a -5 drop, and apparently it's pretty valuable. But they say also that a -3 drop is where the real money is at. They sold this one for $300. So you can imagine what a -3 drop will actually be selling for. A whole lot more apparently. And so be on the lookout for just baseball bats in general. We have a baseball bat that we haven't listed yet. We should probably finally sell ours, list it. Hopefully it'll sell for even close to this amount. And so be on the lookout for baseball bats. Look it up. Often they have pretty much all the information you need on the baseball bat, right? So it's easy to look up and it'll tell you the comps, which is really the most important part about reselling anyway. So it doesn't matter if you know exactly what you have in your hands. As long as you know how to look up the comps, everything else should be fine. You can figure out the rest later, right? Packaging and all that other stuff. But thank you so much for sending this to us, Humble Assets. We really appreciate you. Please follow them on Instagram. Let them know that we sent you.
Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below how your sales were this past week. Are you starting to see the summer slowdown? Is eBay slowing down for you like it was for us this past week? Let us know down in the comments. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. That tells YouTube that it should show this video to more people. And if you aren't subscribed, consider subscribing. We would love to have you as part of our community. We do these what sold videos each week, and they pretty much are always in this format. So if you liked this video, you should consider subscribing. We would love to have you as part of our YouTube community.
Keep that passion burning, y'all. We're so appreciative of you. Hopefully baby is here. We will let you know, but we want you to know that we are always cheering for you, even when we might not be, putting out all this content. But we hope that you're doing well. Hopefully summer slowdown isn't affecting you too much. And we're cheering you on. We'll see you later.
Bye.